Joins us live from Kiev now. Nick, the parliament has voted to withdraw security forces. Have they started to pull out? What's the situation right now in Maidan?
No, I think they have not pulled out at all fully. And right now what we're seeing is police on the outskirts of the square. And there's no sense necessarily that that parliament vote will be binding, will actually come true on the ground. President Yanukovych has not signed it. His advisors say that he may not sign it. It is pressure on him, and he does have to do something about it. But there's no guarantee that that will actually create peace in the square behind me. However, we have seen those scenes of chaos and carnage from this morning replaced with a slight calm. You may be able to hear the kind of somber national anthem being spoken behind me. There are still thousands of protesters in this square. It's about 4 o'clock in the morning, and they are still going strong, and they are still calm right now. But you walk through the crowds, you see them sleeping, you see them feeding each other. It feels like they're really licking their wounds and digging in after such a violent, horrible day.
So it is calm right now in Kiev, but what about the security situation in the rest of the country, Nick? What are you hearing?
Well, I think as we've seen for weeks, if not months, in western Ukraine, of course, there's open revolt against the government. In eastern Ukraine, there are some clashes. And even around the square, even outside of these few blocks, we saw hundreds of protesters surround a bus full of police officers. Hours after those police officers were first surrounded, those protesters eventually allowed them to be released. And there's a real sense of aggressiveness on the protesters, real sense of what were peaceful protesters months ago have simply had to become more militant, had to become more violent. We saw some weapons inside of the protesters being used, and obviously totally overwhelmed by the force and the snipers and the carnage used by government forces, by the police. But nonetheless, we are seeing violence on both sides. And as we heard in Andrew's piece, that is a suggestion that there will be more violence, there will be more clashes. Right now, it's calm. Right now, we have that vote in Parliament, but there is no guarantee that in a few hours, in a few days, the violence won't spark up again.